would like to thank everyone for coming. We know COVID times have been really tough for everyone, especially our loved ones in nursing homes. Our loved ones in nursing homes constantly need to have their health checked upon. And now, with a lack of exercise and sunlight and increased stress from watching the news all day, this is even more critical. Historically, society has come up with a fairly good solution for this. We have our loved ones in nursing homes frequently go to their physicians to get preventative testing done. However, now during COVID times, they can't go to their physicians for preventative testing. Thankfully, we at One and Done have a solution that is quick, easy, and reliable.
For our elderly loved ones, we have developed an at-home monitoring device that allows the patient and caregiver to keep track of their health status. We are providing an incredible form of preventative care by allowing patients and their physicians to compare daily, weekly, or monthly readings to normal baselines. We are offering the unique opportunity to detect the slightest decline in health earlier than ever before. We do it better than our competition because we're eliminating in-office visits, this is especially important in the era of COVID-19, and our system also eradicates painful blood tests. Ultimately, we are giving control back to our customers. They have the power to manage their own health.
We have developed a device we call the One and Done. This revolutionary device is a total health screening platform that allows for the testing of routine health metrics from a single sample of urine. The One and Done incorporates FDA-approved methods that use disposable, yet affordable test strips to measure up to 15 analytes at once to provide a total health analysis. For example, some of the metrics we are currently assessing give insights into organ system health, hormone levels, blood glucose, and vitamin and mineral levels. Our product has a virtual display of your overall health score, and the device uses Bluetooth to sync to apps we have developed where customers can track the results. Excitingly, the One and Done can also send patient health information to electronic charting platforms, so patients and healthcare providers can see their patient metrics automatically. This provides an accurate and convenient way to monitor their signs and symptoms. Our business will generate revenue through two streams. This includes the initial sale of the device, as well as refill test strips that we anticipate will be our main source of revenue.
To generate revenue, we have designed our product to target two customer segments. These include elderly individuals, as well as the nursing home staff that cares for them. We will establish relationships with our customer segments by providing customer support, in-person training and sales, as well as online ordering platforms and assistance. These relationships will be established and maintained through in-person and online mediums.
Now, in order for us to establish these relationships, we partnered with specialists across these diverse fields. Of course, we have a comprehensive list of the key partners in our BMC, which we'll go into a little bit later. However, we would like to highlight some of the key partners, activities, and resources that are the foundation of our company. We understand the importance of building a reputation for excellence, not only in our product, but also to continue generating revenue and growth by listening to our customers. We have teamed up with manufacturing specialists to ensure the quality of our product. However, we've also done our homework, and we understand the limitations, the limited resources in nursing homes, particularly the lack of staff and time. These issues are even worse for physicians. And these physicians wouldn't want to use a device that forces them to take even more time out of their busy day to learn it. So, unlike other companies, the results of our product automatically links the patient charts through standard clinical website platforms that all doctors use every single day, such as UpToDate. This is another example of how our product will generate revenue, because honestly, what's more valuable than time? Now, The key activities to establish our product and generate revenue is to promote our product into nursing homes and directly to the physicians. Furthermore, our unbeatable customer service will show how dedicated we are to our customers and foster a long-term customer relationship, thus generating long-term revenue. To ensure this long-term success, key resources such as streamlining the manufacturing and distribution of our product are very essential. However, we don't want to stop there. We see how much growth and possibility there is in our product, and we plan on partnering with research and development facilities to further our success. We will have a committed marketing and support team that will continue the success of our first product and ensure that we will keep producing novel products for our company's long-term success and generating revenue.
As previously mentioned, we did extensive primary research and interviewed 30 physicians, including geriatricians and primary care physicians with a significant number of patients in nursing homes. And the results were absolutely crystal clear. We would get buy-in from the physicians if our device integrated with the communication systems that they already use, such as MyChart, for example. Physicians do not want to learn a new system, nor do they want to train their staff, and we embrace this.
Altogether, we have generated the One and Done, which provides a quick, easy, and reliable assessment of patient health. We're going to leave our completed business model canvas up here for you to review. We're happy to answer any questions, and we really welcome your feedback. And lastly, we would just like to thank you for taking your time to listen more about our product today.
Well, thank you very much, One and Done. This was amazing. Now, we are open to questions by the judges. And also there are some questions coming from attendees. So I would let judges ask their questions first or type, and then I can go to the attendees' questions.
Okay, this is Paul Dwitter. You've done a lot of work. You've put a lot of time into this, and you've got a good project outlined here. My question really is the device itself. You really didn't get into, and maybe it's proprietary, but what is measuring in? I see reagent strips, probably out of a flow type. What is it that you're testing, and what types of outcomes can you find from those tests?
So one of the easiest outcomes I think that you could test is creatine levels. You can also test blood sugar levels. And that's where our research and development too is kind of going side by side, because of course developing a product that is reliable is very important to us. And so having lots of different readings of diseases is critical.
Okay. I'm a urologist by training, so I've done a lot of urinalyses with what we call dipsticks, which is sort of what you have as a dipstick. And we had 10 parameters, modalities we could measure on that dipstick. Sounds like yours, unless you have newer technology, has the capability of transporting that data to lab tests or to clinical records. But probably you need some newer technology itself on that dipstick. And again, maybe you do have some of that, not outlined here, but as part of your future.
Yes, yeah, most definitely that would be something that we are actively or wanting to pursue. Another way that this technology could also be used is not as exactly if you go to a doctor, they tell you exactly what you have because you go through MRIs and all sorts of scans that cost millions upon millions of dollars. Wouldn't it be great to have this device to check at home if your levels are within a certain range, and then saving you the money and the travel and the cost to actually to go then find a specialist.
Yeah, I think it's a great concept. You'll want to do a lot of research on what is on that stick, what is it you're measuring. But the ease of use of the facility is very helpful. And so there's a market. I think there's a need for this.
We have one question by one of our judges, Leila. She wants to know who will be analyzing the samples. Do they need to be sent to a centralized hub?
So that's like, okay, that's a great question. But no, that's really what we're trying to sell here, is that all of this can be done at home by the user. And so there's no need to send off the samples. The only thing that will be sent would be the data from the analysis, which will be integrated with MyChart or other similar platforms, so doctors can review the results. But no, there's no need, as far as we see, for a centralized lab.
Thank you. Expand on that.
This is a really awesome concept. Just to follow up on that, would they need to self-report basically to physicians?
That's where we feel too that there's a benefit with the ability that we've allowed it to sync with already the electronic charting platforms. So this already goes in their chart. So just by providing their sample, the device does that measurement for you and uploads it automatically to build a device that you have so you can track personally. For example, maybe loved ones of the patients, of the elderly patients, want to track this on their apps, like phones, things like that. But also goes to the electronic charting platforms like MyChart. We gave it as an example. So physicians can see this remotely, and it's automatically uploaded. So there is no self-reporting involved. So that also, I think, maybe removes an element of clarity there too about getting data, pure data, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And another, so we were thinking of, yes, of course, marketing to physicians, but you can also market the top of the food chain of nursing homes and sell it to them as this is something that will help you run your business more efficiently and then help the people that you're trying to protect be safer. And what we hope in the future, once this gets off and everyone loves it, is when you are making the very tough choice of picking where your mama or your daddy is going to be. And you see all of these things that they offer, but then they offer one and done. Oh, that's a game changer. I want my mom to be there because I know she is going to have something extra that no one else has and that she can do it herself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also just want to address one question in the chat, whether or not our device is reusable. So the device itself is reusable. However, we actually think a lot of the revenue that we're going to generate is from our proprietary strips, which need to be constantly renewed. And so we would have strip subscription services like that. And that's really where we feel like a lot of the revenue will be generated.
Also, to expand on that, there was a point made about marketing. And so we had discussed this about maybe one potentially important place would be in the physician's office. I know that when I go to the physician or I go to the pediatrician for my son, for example, there's always on the back of the door a million different posters of different services available. And so we feel that that would be one really great place to advertise as well, just to kind of get the word out there. And then obviously people that are in the nursing home and are getting these preventative services done already in the clinic can now do that in the nursing home, right? So it actually removes the need to go to the doctor's office, which I think is one of the main values that we're providing for our customers. This also kind of expands to Les's question too about how is this different from the current technology available. Currently, you can go to the physician, you can give your sample, the laboratory can analyze that, and then they can update your chart as well. But that is the problem, that you have to go to that doctor's office, right? And just the cost of having somebody run this. So now we kind of have like a all-in-one assay that we can do this, in which it's automatically kind of put onto the patient's charts and it kind of removes some of the need of the middleman, if you will.
Thank you. We have one question by Wei. Wei, you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, ask the question?
Yeah, sure. I think it's very similar to Catherine's question. I just had a quick note that the channels you guys propose to bring this to market is online, phone, and in person. Although for your elderly individuals, sort of the direct consumer, they're not usually online, correct? So have you thought about actually shifting or expanding your marketing to the family members who may actually be making those decisions?
Yes. So that was something that we discussed in great detail. And when you think of your mom or your dad, it's a family decision. It's a family unit. And one way, a big way that we can obviously market that's free is social media, all this stuff. But who would be the person that is interacting there? It would be the daughter, the son, who's actually going to have to make these decisions. And especially if your loved one is has dementia and cannot mentally make the responsible choices for themselves. So we kind of joked about how this idea kind of bridges the two of the older way of doing things just by yourself, no one else has to know, and that's great. You have that privacy, but then you also have this new technology that could be used in tandem, and I think quite powerfully too.
And just to add to what Anastasia is saying, certainly the in-person component of having like sales reps and going to nursing homes and directly reaching out to the customer, we thought that would be really important. What's that? Sorry, Jenna?
And training, the in-person that they provide that training. So sales and training.
Right.
I think too, to expand just a little bit further, is part of our online medium is also for support for the nursing home caregivers, right? So we also want to support that customer segment, that it's not just the individuals using it, but if somebody is residing in a nursing home, they have aides and nurses and physicians at times that come around, right? And so when these issues are happening, I would anticipate that if I'm having a problem with my device, who am I going to go to, right? Probably my nurse. I'm going to ask, how can I do this? And so that support system, I guess, is provided for them so that they can also, if they have any troubleshooting issues or any problems like that, because I think part of the caregiving system would use that online medium as well, and maybe wouldn't prefer the phone or in person. So you can get some immediate access and immediate answers.
Right. And to that point, we're pairing with physicians and the nursing home staff. And so often we think about patients going to see these people, they can actually explain what this device is and explain how to use it to the patients. And so in that respect, I'm imagining physicians and nurses will be online as well. And so they can learn about these programs and help spread the news to the patients as well and tell them how easy it is to use this platform.
And I think it also, a big thing is it takes off the burden too from the healthcare system. And in nursing homes, you don't always have 20 doctors on staff. You have nurses who are overwhelmed, who have so many different patients. Wouldn't it be great to also take that burden off them, that they don't have to worry that they made a wrong mistake or that they didn't get to their one patient? So I think the ramifications of this is quite large and positive.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Ryan, and today I'm going to be telling you guys about our product that myself and my team developed called Cellulearn. As many of you are aware, despite the really great efforts of many academic, clinical, and industry researchers, the ability to get a discovery from bench to bedside takes a lot of time, a lot of money, and the success rate is extremely low. So in order to help address this, we've developed a product called Cellulearn, which is an AI-driven software for Oh, I was just muted for some reason.
Sorry, that was my bad. Go ahead.
Okay. It's an AI-driven software for stem cell image processing that will help reduce time and cost and improve cell type classification, which I'll tell you why that's important in the next few slides. This is a picture of our overall business model canvas. Before we actually get into the business model canvas, I'm going to be describing the product in detail, as well as the value that it brings to our customers. So our product brings the greatest value to stem cell researchers. These are stem cell researchers in academia, industry, or in a clinical setting. And if you're unaware of the power of using stem cells, here's an image right here in the middle of some stem cells. And the power of using them is that you can turn them into any cell type in the body. And then from there, you can either do R&D on them, or you can use them for stem cell therapies. So before you can actually use the cells though, you have to kind of classify and quantify the cell types that you actually created. And so the traditional method of doing this is called staining. And staining creates these really beautiful images that you see here to the right. but it takes a lot of time and a lot of money, and it's really ineffective. And so our market research shows that stem cell researchers would really like to bypass this step if they could, because it's a huge problem and a lot of cost. So our product, Cellulearn, helps circumvent the need for this, and you can actually take these images directly and either upload them to our standalone software that's web-based, or we have a product that is integrated within a live imaging system that you can actively view your current cultures in. And Cellulearn can take these images and then use artificial intelligence to actually overlay a mask showing you every single cell type that you have in your culture, as well as giving you a rough percentage breakdown of each different cell type that you have in your culture. And so when you think about the bench-to-bedside pipeline, which is depicted here to the left, again, in order to get from discovery to market deployment, it takes many, many years, and the success rate is extremely low. So our product, Cellulearn, brings value by decreasing the time it takes at each different stage within the pipeline, and including at market. And because of the increased accuracy and reproducibility, the success to market should be increased as well too. And so generally speaking, our product will reduce cost, increase speed and efficiency, and increase accuracy and reproducibility. And depending on what you value most as a customer, you can choose one or both products that would fit your specific needs. And so now I'm going to hand over the presentation to Andrea, who's going to go into a little bit more detail about these different customer segments.
So the major customers for Cellulearn will be stem cell research labs. And within those labs, we have three major segments, which are academic labs, industry labs, and clinical labs. Depending on their needs of cost or time, we have the two versions of Cellulearn as Ryan described: the standalone web-based Cellulearn and the live imaging Cellulearn packaged with a microscope. Our relationships with our customers will stem from three major ways. We will inherit customers already established from our microscope partner company, Burton, which will be described in our partners section. We will grow new customers by attending conferences, trade shows, publishing, and dream challenges, which will not only grow new customers, but also crowdsource data used for training our AI software. And once we have established our customers, our major customer relationship will be maintaining exceptional customer support and feedback through our website. The channels our customer relationships will be reached are through publishing and dream challenges, which will provide proof of concept and value. Conferences and trade shows will provide outreach and marketing. And finally, as I explained earlier, our website will provide the feedback and support to maintain communication with our customers. With these channels, we will interact with not only our customers, but also our key partners, which Paige will be describing.
Our first key partner are select stem cell research customers. As we need data to train our AI-based Cellulearn, we are going to enroll 10 academic, industry, and clinical stem cell laboratories to provide us with training data for this model. These labs will later be compensated with a discount on our Cellulearn product, which Kara will discuss later in our cost structure. Our second key partner is for our live cell imaging software. We will have a short-term exclusive partnership with Burton Instruments to embed our Cellulearn software into their current product, the Incellus Smart Cell Imaging System. The microscopy market is expected to grow from $6 to $8 billion due to just software upgrades alone. As Burton is an expert in machinery, they need assistance and expertise in software development in order to grow with the market. Our Cellulearn live cell imaging software will allow Burton to compete in the live cell imaging field. Additionally, Burton will provide us with a starting platform for our Cellulearn imaging software, a customer base, and some key resources, which Pavan will discuss in the next section.
So some of the key activities for our core product would primarily consist of database development, data collection, and database management via Google Cloud or AWS, some kind of cloud service, and then refinement of the convolutional neural network model. And then finally, we would have to develop the web application and integrate our convolutional neural network model into the web app. for the standalone software. And our key resources to support these key activities in our core product would include 10 to 15 stem cell scientists for training the AI model, 1 to 2 software engineers for building out the web application and integrating the model, as well as integrating our software with Burton's Incellus live imaging software suite. And lastly, we would require a couple data scientists and a small sales business team, sales or business development team of 1 to 2 people to attend conferences and reach new customers within our different market segments. And lastly, we would need a technical support team of 1 to 2 people for answering any questions from customers regarding software troubleshooting, et cetera. And obviously, in order to tie all of these key resources together, we would need an effective plan for cash flow. And Kara will now tell us about the cost structure and revenue streams for our company to cover this cash flow plan.
So our cost structure is broken down into initial and recurring costs. So our first initial cost would be software development, which would be $150,000, which would include the salary for a software engineer and the price to pay for our platforms and the customization it would take. Secondly, we have our personnel costs, which would be $180,000. And then lastly, we would have our data acquisition costs, which would then be related to what Paige referred to earlier when we were going to partner with 10 stem cell labs in order to accumulate data to train our model, and in which case they would get a 50% discount on their first year of subscription, which would then come out to be $12,000. And then lastly, we would have a recurring cost every year of Google Cloud Services for $28,000. So in total for the first year, we would have a total cost of $370,000 for the first year, and then subsequently have $28,000 cost for subsequent years. Therefore, we should be able to make a profit within the first few years based on our revenue streams. So our revenue streams include our standalone software, which would be $2,400 a year or $240 a month, depending on how you choose to subscribe. And then we would have revenue from our live imaging software and our partners at Burton, in which case, for every scope that's sold with our partnership, we would get $10,000. And then we'd also have $1,000 a month from our advertising space within our website. So as you can see, we have multiple revenue streams based on the multiple aspects of value that our product provides, which again will be echoed by Ryan as he reviews the value prop.
So I hope we convinced you going through our business model canvas of the value of our product. To sum everything up, our product Cellulearn is an AI-driven software that will dramatically reduce the time and cost of determining cell type composition of stem cell cultures. This product can be applied in multiple phases in the bench to bedside pipeline to generate reliable cell classifications in an academic, industry, or clinical setting. And thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Breakout Room 2, Cellulearn. This was awesome. A lot of learning. I love how you have like very nice, colorful slides. Well, now we're open to questions. I would like to give preference to judges to ask their questions first. We do have 1 or 2 questions from attendees. I will ask that later. Judges, please go ahead and unmute yourself and ask questions if you have.
This is Layla. I had a question about the revenue stream for the academic portion of it. Would that be just one academic institute purchasing, or would it be based on each like research lab or PI?
So it would be each research lab. So for labs who are more concerned about cost, we have a standalone product, in which case they can use a microscope that they already have in their lab and just subscribe to our service.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. How do you plan to convince your customers that your software is accurate and reliable? Are you going to have your own in-house validation team to kind of test, different kinds of cells, kind of ground truth aspects, or do you plan to do that with your partners that are kind of donating and working with you guys to train your models?
Yeah, so that's through our key partners, the about 10 or 15 stem cell research labs that we're going to be partnering with. We plan on using their data and their staining to actually have a ground truth so that we can train our model system. And then from that whole collaboration, not only are we going to give them a discount, but obviously we're going to want to publish the data as a proof of concept as well too. So once that publication comes out, we hope that we can convince the larger scientific community in academia as well as outside that the product actually works as intended.
How will you do image gathering? Is it just a snapshot and you then take a look at that with your algorithms and your AI? Or do you provide imaging capabilities? How do you propose doing that?
So it depends on the product. So the two different products that we have, either one, the customer themselves can upload it directly to our website through their subscription, or two, if they do have a live imaging microscope, such as the one that we're going to be partnering with Burton, then those images would be directly on the scope itself. And then as far as collecting images, if you went prior to that, it would be with the key partners, the different stem cell research labs.
Yeah. So your project with Burton, what is the name? Berlin. You possibly could coordinate your software with maybe their developed systems and sell it as a complete product.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
If there are no more questions from judges, I have one question from Arturo. Arturo, feel free to tell me if you had already got answered, but I'll still ask, would you need microscopes or microscopy centers to be included in your key resources?
I don't believe we would need to, because assuming you're talking about the second product, we would be integrating it into existing microscopes from Burton Instruments. So they would be included when a customer purchases the entire microscope. They would be including a subscription to the software. So there's no external product from us required besides the software itself.
I have one follow-up question real quick. So since there are so many different types of cellular so basically stem cells can become many, many different types of cells. And so since you guys are kind of starting off, do you have an idea of what specific type of stem cells you plan to go after? Is there a specific demographic that you want to start with?
Yeah, so the idea is to train the model as broadly as possible. And so we plan on using both human embryonic stem cells as well as iPSCs, but then also regularly used in labs are mouse stem cells too. And so that's going to be all collected. And as far as the cell types that we're going to be differentiating into, they're going to be broad at first, like neurons versus like heart cells and things like that. But one of the things that we plan on doing in the future is actually integrating more specific cell subtypes, so specific types of neurons, and then also cell function as well too. So like cell death and other things that we plan on adding into the software itself for later individuals that want to upgrade their subscription.
Okay, that's good answer, because there's a lot of things that image analysis can get at, and then whether it's 2D or if you're going to tackle 3D structures, organoids, right? So there's just a lot that goes into image analysis, and usually it's nice to start with a very defined population and build from there. So
yeah,
thanks.
Definitely.
Okay. If there are no more questions, we'll move forward. Thank you very much, Team 2. We're going to move forward to Team 3 now, Schrodinger's cat. Their idea is Biogenie from your personal pathologist. Please go ahead and start sharing your screen.
Can you stop sharing the screen so that I can start mine?
Awesome.
All right. Hi, everyone. We are Schrodinger's cats, and it is a fact that our blood reports tell us a lot about our overall health and well-being. Much more so than urine dipsticks, especially for early detection of cancer. But we never just walk into a pathology lab and get our blood tested at random unless our doctor advises us or we start to feel symptoms of some disease. But sometimes it can be too late to start treating the symptoms. Wouldn't it be nice to do a hassle-free blood test in the comfort of your home? Well, introducing Biogenie, your personal pathologist, a portable device that gives you a full blood report along with the indication of cancer biomarkers and gives you a personalized health advice. The way to use it is to put a small drop of blood on a 3D printed test strip and then insert the strip into the device. After a couple minutes, the device transmits the data onto your phone, where the Biogenie app analyzes the report and gives you a personalized health advice based on your results. These 3D printed test strips will be shipped monthly to your door when you purchase a subscription. These strips will be locally made in participating pharmacy stores where our experts will install a small 3D printer and other assembly parts for the strip. This will reduce assembly costs associated with supply chain logistics, and people will have the option to buy these strips in case of an emergency. Now diving right into our business model canvas, we will have Ian. I'll pass it on to Ian.
Thank you, Devashish. We at Biogenie really believe that our products and services can add value to almost everyone's lives. I think we believe all people can really benefit from having constant, reliable monitoring of their health and being able to detect diseases at their first sign, especially for those end users that might be at elevated risk for certain diseases, such as those with a genetic or environmental disposition. Those who are in remission, and certainly the elderly population. And as well as end users, we think of doctors and insurance companies as also customers, since we'll be saving doctors time administering, ordering, analyzing test results, since these can be done at home by the patient using our technology. And there's an obvious cost savings for insurance companies, potentially millions of dollars, by being able to catch diseases at early stages of progression, which will significantly reduce treatment costs. Moving on to more customer relations. Since our business is very intimately involved with our customers' health, we believe it's very important to display a high level of trustworthiness and transparency. We need to be able to prove that our tests are accurate and reliable, and be able to get the support of the medical community and insurance companies on our side to add credibility. We believe if we can demonstrate the efficacy of our tests well, then attracting customers will be fairly easy, just because of the inherent value of our business. And we'll also attract and keep our customer base by emphasizing the peace of mind that comes with our products and the cost savings of early detection, and have our customers feel that our services are an investment in their future health. And then we can also grow our customer base by continuing to add more and more testing capabilities and different features. So the more illnesses we're able to detect, the more people we can attract. And then lastly, our customer channels. We'll be able to spread awareness of our product, Biogenie, through traditional advertising avenues such as TV, internet, social media, and the like, as well as through doctor and pharmacist interactions with patients. And for evaluation, purchase, delivery, and after-sales contact, those will be primarily done through our email, website, and primarily through our phone app, which will serve as an interface for test results, request technical support, update customers on new testing capabilities, and other things like that. So to talk about some of the key partners we'll be partnering with, I'll pass it back over to Devashish.
Thanks, Ian. So this device works on a state-of-the-art microfluidic technology and cell sorting technique developed by IMEC Corporation. So IMEC Corporation is one of our key partners, who is a company that has expertise in microfluidic blood sensors and manufactures them. For a successful company, a good customer base is essential, so we've identified our customers as one of our key partners. Next, we will be partnering with pharmacies where we will be installing 3D printers and a small assembly station. Shipping companies like USPS or even prescription delivery startups like PillPack, which caters to customers locally, can be partnered up with. Pharmacies like CVS, Walgreens have their own distribution network, which can also be leveraged in this case. Another important partner in this case is our resin manufacturers, which are people who actually manufacture resin for 3D printing of these strips. Next, we will be partnering up with doctors and clinics who can actually prescribe Biogenie to their patients and increase our customer base. In the future, we will also be partnering up with insurance companies so that they can bear some of the subscription costs as the technology gets more reliable and has a bigger customer base. Moving on to our key activities, research and development would be one of our key activities here in this case, because we want our customers to have the highest possible accuracy in their blood results. Device manufacturing and app development would be another key activity, and we are dedicated to the highest quality. So quality control is one of our key activities, which we will give most stress upon. Shipping and handling and the maintenance of the website and social media channels are another one of our key activities. I'll pass it on to Arturo now, who will discuss key resources, cost structure, and revenue streams.
Thanks, Devashish. We have identified the research and manufacturing facilities as our key resources that are necessary for company operation and development to provide health solutions and testing. Our cost structure, on the other hand, is based on the fundamental components of our product, mainly in the manufacturing process. Equally important, the device and strips manufacturing represents the foundation of our company and the continuous progress towards success. Finally, quality control is an essential brick of our cost structure that will assure customer satisfaction. Thus, these are the biggest investments that Biogenie is willing to continuously take, including our employees' compensation and benefits. Moreover, our revenue streams are based on subscriptions and upgrades, providing our customers opportunity to keep our services for a healthy lifetime and even upgrade to more detailed data and possible treatments for other diseases that our team experts are continuously working on day by day to offer unique and accurate results. Thank you for listening, and I'll pass it back to Devashish, who is going to provide additional details of our company.
So, as I discussed in the value proposition, that the device is your personal pathologist, and it really depends on the highest technology possible. So, in the first few years of our company, we will be providing these test kits for a small deposit and grow our customer base by selling as many subscriptions as possible. So here we've adopted the Gillette's bait and hook model, where our bait would be the device, which we will give out for a small deposit. And if they are not satisfied with the device, they can return their device and get back their deposit. So to break even our research and development costs, our initial days would be only directed towards selling as many subscriptions as possible and developing the technology. With that, we'd be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Team 3. That was awesome. Now it is open to judges to ask questions first, then I'll go over to the guests.
Let me just ask a basic question, Paul Ritter. You have a generic concept of a little device that, again, we talk about a dipstick, measuring certain priorities as pathologists to come up with not necessarily a diagnosis, but you haven't really described specific tests you're going to do or opportunity that you're going to go after. I mean, just generically to say this, a lot of regulatory hurdles, a lot of development hurdles you'd have to go through. So are there any specific areas that you really want to go after first or second in this proposition?
So we were first targeting cancer cancer detection, because cancer biomarkers are detected through blood. So, and IMEC Corporation has developed these microfluidic devices which are capable of detecting these biomarkers in the blood, and we will be partnering up with them so that we buy their chips from them and then we use it in our own product. So cancer is our main focus here, early detection of cancer.
Yeah, and again, that's a pretty, I don't want to say large answer, large area to go after, even just one type of cancer. So I think you really have to come down to a very finite area, and maybe with IMEC in discussions with them, you might focus on one area and then grow from there. But just generic cancer, you'll never get anywhere. So IMEC probably can help you in that opportunity.
This is Vay. Yeah, I have the same feeling that cancer is great in terms of choosing a sort of disease and an etiology to go after, but cancer is extremely diverse, right? And so the fact that it's great that this proposed product could potentially serve many different cancers and many different patient segments, it would be helpful to consider, well, based on either the market or the technological constraints of what you guys are proposing, what specific types of cancer would make sense. So, you know, whether it's breast, whether it's, you know, bone, soft tissue, neurological, they all have different biomarkers, right? So just starting to pull in some specifics would be helpful to help you hone in on more of the specifics of exactly what key activities or channels, or say, especially cost structures, may come into play, especially in terms of diagnostics. You do have to be, again, FDA cleared, and it has to be approved by, say, CLIA in order to even serve patients and provide medical related guidance. So I kind of am similar feedback.
And the concept, one could say you're kind of shotgunning cancer. You're taking a shotgun going after cancer. It's better to have a rifle shot directly at some specific part, really defined that you want to go after them. So your research will tell you where that might be. But you don't want to be defocused. You really want to early stage be focused on one opportunity, probably.
This is Layla. Could you comment on the regulatory aspect of the technology and how do you think it fits in?
The regulatory aspects, could you explain more?
So would you need to go through any FDA clearance or any additional hurdles to be able to commercialize this technology?
I think definitely clearances would be a major step in commercializing these technologies, because these results, they need to also be recognized by doctors throughout. So yeah, going through FDA regulations and all sorts of other regulations, because it directly is a test for your blood. So yeah.
I think each proposal you might go after will require its own separate path and direction for regulatory. And on top of that, even with the first product we talked about with the dipstick, home testing through the regulatory FDA is very, very onerous, because you're going to take a person that doesn't know much about anything, that's a patient, and put it in their hands to come up with some potential findings, clinical findings. So to do anything at home testing is very, very difficult to get through an FDA protocol as a separate situation.
Right. We envision this device as being like a glucometer, where those are common devices which are used for testing your blood sugar level. So it'll be the same as a blood glucometer, but it would tell you a lot more about your blood and whether or not you have any type of cancer biomarkers in your blood.
Well, you will learn over time. Cancer is a difficult FDA. They want it because of potential errors. You have cancer, you don't have cancer. It's a big issue. So you'll learn this as you go forward with development, that there will be a big regulatory need for anything you do in this.
Right. And we also understand that it's not possible for everyone to understand what their blood report means. So that's why we will be developing an app that on your phone, wherein it will analyze your blood reports and give you a personalized health advice based on what results are generated. You will also, I mean, the customers will also have the option of forwarding their reports to a doctor for further investigation.
Good.
Yeah. Additional to that, since it's a blood test, we're really looking to offer those upgrades that we mentioned. So the cancer treatment, not treatment, but the detection on early stages, it's on early stage as well. But we are really looking to provide and offer our customers upgrades. So from their blood, we could detect additional as ETS STD and other diseases that are embarrassing for customers, or that are just painful to go and see the doctor and have awful results or unexpected results. So adding this comfortability to do it at home and privately, it will also add some confidence to our customers to get into our product.
I think a very basic premise for home testing is you're doing a screening test. You're not doing a diagnostic test. Whatever's done at home is really only to screen abnormalities and not make a diagnosis. So you really want to stay at that level of just a screening test. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And the results that we're looking to provide to our customers, it's friendly results. Maybe we haven't figured out yet like how exactly we're going to deliver the results, but we're planning to do it in a happy way. So if you need further treatment, our device will tell you, maybe with smiles or maybe with a sad face, and we'll provide you with information as like, you should go to see this specialist or see this doctor, and maybe from data that we will have in our device, like suggest specifically where to go to.
Yeah, and you're young and you're learning, and as you go through this process, you'll learn much more about the needs going forward. So it's a learning proposition.
Okay, we have a couple of questions from the audience. I'm going to read a question from Andrea. It says, how much blood is needed for all your tests? Are older individuals, maybe your most targeted customers, going to be able to draw their own blood?
Yes.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, it's going to be very similar to a glucometer test, where it's just a drop of blood. And since we're using microfluidic technology, it doesn't require a lot of volume for its detection or processing.
Yeah, we're targeting to require maybe 1 drop of your blood. And we haven't defined that yet, but we are also looking to make it not painful and be the least that is possible.
Great. We have another question from the audience. This is a good one. How are you going to send human blood, which is BSL, BLS2, BSL, I believe? It could have HIV, etc. So how are you going to allow that shipment and rationalize the cost? For instance, make a cancer patient deal with this. This sounds expensive. Cancer treatments are very expensive too for the patients. How would they rationalize spending even more money when they are probably going to their doctors on regular checkups, where they would receive a for sure answer?
That's a good question. So we are not planning to do shipment of blood. We're this is going to be at home. So our device is going to be able to detect whatever is required to detect at home based on our database that is going to be on the internet, and that will provide you like what's the next step to take. And if you need treatment, if you need possible treatment, if you need to go to some clinic or something like that. So it's not that we're gonna be shipping blood. So that's gonna be provided in our strips. It's the same idea as where you put your blood in the strip and then you put it in the device, and that will just provide you information that you need. And the good thing about this is that it's since you're in a subscription, you will not be forced to do that. Like you can do it when it's considered to be necessary. Maybe for diabetes, for example, like you could do it like every couple of months and test yourself there. and have the ability to go and purchase those strips when you feel that you will, or that would you just like to ship yourself.
Right. To add to that, again, this is not for people suffering from cancer. This is not a treatment. This is a prevention measure, because sometimes what happens is people do a blood test and they get detected with a 3rd stage cancer, which is very difficult and very expensive to treat. So if cancer is detected in its early stages, if cancer is detected in its early stages, then it's going to be a lot easier to deal with it later. So, okay, what about false positives? So that is something that will be an outcome of research, because this technology would really need a lot of testing and going through a lot of approvals. So that would surely be a outcome of results and extensive testing.
Yeah, our research and development area is going to be in charge of having the most accurate data and by publishing in another kind of resources, we're gonna look to have the most accurate data and provide accurate results. So how to take care of that is not providing a positive or negative, but providing a suggestion. If the device detects something tricky in the results, or and that doesn't match with the database originally, it could suggest like, now it's time to go and see a doctor, or now it's time to do further testing on.
Hello, everyone. We are Umbrella Inc., a bioinformatics consulting firm, as Harinder said. I'm Kate. We also have Nam, Les, Kevin, and Christina, who will be speaking in that order. Bioinformatics involves the use of big data to study biological problems. For example, we've all heard about DNA, the blueprint in each of our cells that make us who we are. Sometimes these directions are messed up, leading to diseases like cancer. In order to create medicines to treat these disorders, pharmaceutical companies and doctors need to look at the sequence of the DNA. For example, doctors will sequence the DNA of a tumor to determine which drug will attack a patient's cancer the best. So these doctors and companies send samples out to get sequenced and get back a ton of data. The problem is getting from this big data landscape to actionable conclusions to help patients. This is the bottleneck. There's a substantial lack of people who understand enough about the computation and technology to interpret these ones and zeros into novel biological insights. That's where we come in. In recent years, more and more companies are outsourcing their R&D. While pharma may have scientists on hand, not many are cross-trained in the informatics and biology. So we aim to provide our customers with a group of highly skilled, cross-trained scientists who work with them to provide valuable biological insights without the need to train their own employees. Our scientists are already trained and experienced, which means that we can take our clients from data to conclusions faster, which means that they get faster to market. We understand that our clients are experts in their field, which is why we have a hands-on consultations with our clients for personalized analysis.
Because we have a well-trained and experienced bioinformatics scientist, our company focuses on human health and medical field. We aim to help with the two important customer segments: the industry, which includes biotech, pharmaceutical companies, and medical fields. Biotech and pharmaceutical companies rely on genome sequencing data to make decisions for drug development. Doctors, physicians rely on genetic testing to make diagnoses for their patients. With the increasing personalized medicine advancement, we provide crucial services to analyze this genetic data to better improve human health. We believe that the best way to assist with our customer with the interpretation of the bioinformatic results is direct interaction and one-on-one consultation. We provide in-person bioinformatic consultation to our customer and continuing services for prolonged projects if requested. Our mission is to maintain the long-term relationship with our customers.
Two of our primary channels for new clients will be referrals and word of mouth. We will also utilize conferences and professional meetings to advertise our services and attract new clients. Optimizing search engine results will provide our website for a focal point for clients to learn about our services and allow our website to serve as a primary contact point for Umbrella Inc. Lastly, we will offer seminars and webinars relating to the services we provide. We will also offer a dynamic tiered pricing model based on the amount of data and analyses the client requires. There will be a flat fee to obtain our services, and the tier will be based on the amounts and types of analyses requested and any additional services the client requires. The number of hours required per project will be factored into the tier level, and additional hours based on the project scope and size can be added to any service. The client is also able to request additional in-person and/or video meetings for a fee.
Our key partners mainly function to make potential customers aware of our services and give insight as to the needs of our customer base. This involves a relationship with the people that normally generate the sequencing data proper, the sequencing cores, universities, and research-oriented clinical practices. Having the backing of prominent researchers in the sequencing world, think of them as the Instagram influencers of genomics, also fosters credibility for our services, which is crucial for building an early reputation for our company. The day-to-day activities of our company will be largely focused on providing the analysis and interpretation of data to our customers. This means analyzing the data as well as personally meeting with our customers. We aim to provide actual conclusions and meaningful insights instead of just basic statistics and preliminary analysis. Since we'd be starting this from the ground up, we'll focus a big part of our time into recruiting and incentivizing talented consultants. We'll also focus part of our time on building the company's credibility and reputation, as well as getting our name known through advertising and PR campaigns. This will be accomplished in part through free, open services like analysis webinars and basic analysis starter guides that'll be hosted on our website.
Since our focus is providing analysis and interpretation of data to our customers, our workforce is our greatest asset. In order to give our customers an umbrella of support, our key resources focus on our skilled set of scientists and bioinformaticians, which include employees who manage a team of commission-based contractors and domain experts. Our team includes highly trained and experienced individuals to help our customers get to market faster. In order to keep our customers feeling supported, we have a cost structure that focuses on high-touch customer service, which allows us to spend a lot of time with them. We also have marketing costs, incentives for our highly trained skilled workforce, and computational resources in our cost structure.
Overall, we believe Umbrella Inc. offers a valuable service for companies getting into the inevitable world of big data. Our value lies in the high-touch service model that offers not only analysis, but conclusions faster in the hands of our clients. We help the industry sector get in contact with highly skilled, experienced scientists without these companies having to waste time and resources in the hiring and training process. Establishing ourselves early on as a reputable data analysis service and partnering with the facilities that provide sequencing paves the initial relationship with our customers, a relationship that, in our model, aims to be long-term. Our goal is to provide a ready-to-go analysis service that companies can turn to for reliable, fast, and conclusive solutions. At Umbrella Inc., we've got you covered.
Thank you very much, Umbrella Inc. Now we are open to questions by judges.
Just a comment, I love the title Umbrella. And my question is it raining?
Raining big data, didn't you see?
Right, so big data is a big deal, and I think you're in a good space. With genomics especially, you get a bunch of data, you say, so what am I going to do with it? There's nothing I can use it for, which is not true. But I think it's a matter of how you present yourself to the right customers, and that you have a good proposition here. So I think you're in a good space, good opportunity.
Thank you.
Quick question, have you guys thought about investigating government contracts and working with larger agencies, especially, let's say, in today's world where a lot of biotech and pharma may not have as many financial resources to hire external consultants? In fact, external consultants are often the first to be furloughed, unfortunately, when budgets are tight. So just thoughts on that.
Yeah, part of our model is that we are hoping to have them outsource their in-house R&D to us, as we can do it quicker and more affordably. But as far as government contracts, we have not directly thought about that, but I mean, we are available to anyone who would require our services.
Cool. And then one other thought is simply just patient data, and dealing with that is a kind of whole other ballgame in terms of regulations, HIPAA compliance, all of that nonsense. So just have multiple customer segments there, and sort of industry, biotech, pharma, and then medical groups in terms of dealing with patients can be very different demographics. So just thinking about those separate cost structures and perhaps selecting one to maybe really go all in on while you build your reputation.
We definitely considered the patients, and we considered putting the FDA or kind of HIPAA sort of things in our key partners. And I think, where we start initially will be, hopefully different from where we end up as we grow. And so if initially we can start on the basic R&D, preclinical animal models, stuff like that, where we can avoid that kind of stuff. And obviously medical groups, thinking we want to build our relationship with them first, I think, in a more basic research capacity. And then once we get a little bit bigger and can afford to create those relationships for the patient privacy data, then we already have the relationship established with them and we can move into that space.
Thank you. There are a few more questions, and I'm sorry I'm interrupting. Judges can feel free to ask questions right after this, but I just want to remind our judges that we have students and postdocs from all STEM disciplines, and they've been given knowledge about business model canvas, and a lot of it might sound not feasible or applied right now. This is just the idea of like a hypothetical concept, and we're trying to give them knowledge about business model canvas. So I request our judges not to penalize our teams for not having an applied idea. Thank you. Judges, please go ahead, ask questions if you have. Otherwise, there are a lot of questions from attendees. Thank you.
I think it's an important statement. You're developing concepts and developing ideas, not necessarily that they're ready for market, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's totally understood. Don't take any of my comments as criticism of the business model campus. I think everyone's done a really great job with that.
Yeah. Thank you. I just wanted, because I'm going to send them a feedback form after this, and I don't want them to be like, Renda, you didn't tell us this thing. So I'm just like, I'm saving myself. But thank you.
And I would like to comment on that. We got into a group together and we had shared interests, and this was just what we were able to come up with. We all felt strongly about it, and we can all do this.
I think the whole general project has been good. Every one of you have developed a great presentation and a great description of going to market, market strategy and all of that. That's part of what you were taught. You've all done very, very well in that regard.
Hi, everyone. I agree. This is Steve Popolarski. Fantastic. It was an interesting and enjoyable evening, sort of watching everyone's presentation and work come together. So thank you. In some spaces, you start in a very big market that's wide open, cancer, and it's hard to narrow it down. I think for this is a very timely opportunity. As I think Paul had mentioned in data, it's a good space. But you also have to look at what's happening in the world around us. As you also mentioned, maybe pharma companies are not looking to spend a ton of money right now, or they're looking to not grow, but to rather not shrink. So how do you, in this current era, attract new customers? How can you adapt to what's going on around us and maintain a business?
Kevin, do you want to take that?
Yeah, so I think I can give a few words on this. So I think actually the current climate somewhat helps us even. There seems to be a trend somewhat more towards doing data analysis now. I mean, partially because, you can't have so much physical in-person work, but also our service is modeled in a way that it's actually cheaper for these companies to work with the big data by having us analyze it, mostly in the sense that they don't spend the time they would need to train these new employees to get them off the ground running. That's why we emphasize so much that our workforce is our greatest asset, right? They're ready to go. They have experience analyzing this sort of data. So it somewhat works in our favor.
I also want to add.
Oh, go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, I just want to ask some comment about that. So even during this COVID-19, like big data, like DNA sequencing is still important for COVID-19 research, because all the drug that vaccine developed still need to go through some testing, and they're probably going to do some DNA, RNA sequencing too. So bioinformaticians still have a lot of work to do during the pandemic.
In terms of the getting new customers, one of the things that was really important to us for the key partners was the sequencing cores, because we haven't done that much market research, but from what we know of the on-campus sequencing core, they provide initial, very rudimentary analysis, a couple plots and a matrix, but they don't give you any kind of in-depth biological insight into that analysis. So I know from my very limited experience that some pharma companies do send their samples out of house to get sequenced rather than having their own sequencers. And so partnering with the companies that do the sequencing, having them recommend our services to provide greater analysis, I think is really, why we listed key partners as sequencing cores.
Yeah, I think that's a great concept and a good idea. If you can help your customers do their job better and make more money, then that's good. So would you provide them with marketing materials and kind of pre-made support so they can do it easily, so you can help them, do things to help you?
Yeah, so we, are definitely more of a concierge type service, and that's why we want to have these hands-on consultations. And, we talked about the tiered pricing model involving, part of that involves how much of the work they want us to do versus help them to understand it. And we also talked about, we want to be a learning resource as well, which is why we talked about having our free seminars and webinars to help build our reputation as very experienced with this, but also to help our customer base.
And then with that, I'd like to transition to Andrea's question. Her question was, there are so many open source and free tutorials online for analyzing bioinformatics. How are you going to market yourself with all of these? And again, we emphasize that we're cross-trained. We're bioinformaticists and also biologists. So we do have the ability to not just know one thing, but we know the whole scope of the project. And then we can bring our expertise to the client. How does that sound, Andrea? Answer your question?
Okay, well, I wanted to also answer a question from in the chat box from Paige. So how do these consultants fit into things like publishing in academia and industry and data ownership? If your consultants are manipulating this big data and demonstrating key findings, do they have some ownership over this? So we would take more of an industry type view on this, where the data would not belong to the consultants, and it would belong to the companies that are hiring us to look at this data. So there wouldn't be, at least in my opinion, any papers coming out of this that are from like the consultant side.
So I want to give the judges a minute so if the judges can let me know when they're done with their scoring, and we can talk to you directly.
A great job, everyone. I'm very impressed, and you guys have obviously put a lot of thought and work into this, and it's not easy to put yourselves on the spot, answer questions that you may not be an expert in, and that's actually, I think, such an important intangible benefit of doing stuff like this. I
want to pile on to that. I was a judge in the new venture competition on campus, where we gave away $100,000 worth of prizes. And these presentations today were within the range of the presentations that we saw. And those people there were many business school students involved in those teams, and those people had weeks and weeks to prepare, and they got a lot of different kind of coursework than you guys did. So, I mean, some of this was just really unbelievable. So let's go around the virtual room here, and maybe we'll start with you. We don't have a whole lot of time, but I think the question I want to phrase this way to each of you is to talk about what you think has been the most important or eye-opening part of your own career, particularly entrepreneurial journey, and then what advice would you give to this group on the basis of that? So, Bae, if you want to start.
Sure.
Tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, having worked in a startup, so, if one of you decides to go and open up your own company based on your pitch, you're going to have to do it all, right? Figure out how to make every single part of your business canvas a reality at some stage in some manner. And then having my own kind of side venture, doing career coaching. The entrepreneurial journey is a lot like doing research. You are well prepared to take this step. And I think the fact that all of you gave really excellent presentations and also were able to answer questions in a very professional, thoughtful way, that's one of the things that I think I've really picked up on my own entrepreneurial journey. When you start something, it's just like starting a research project. No one really knows if this is the right thing to do. Just like you guys probably debated for a while in your teams as you were putting together your presentations, is this the right thing to pitch? What if XYZ? And sometimes you just don't know until you try it. And that's something that every single one of us as a research trained professional knows how to handle, even if it may not feel that way. So especially for those of you who tackled a business pitch in a field or industry that you don't have a lot of expertise in, kudos to you, because that is actually where you're going to learn and grow so quickly based on your own research abilities. So I'd say just don't be afraid to take risks. You're going to rewrite who you are. You're going to add to your identity. You're going to evolve. You're going to find out things that you like and you don't like, and that's all part of this process. So the fact that you guys all decided to come into this course, kind of throw yourselves into a new system, learn a new framework, you'll be able to use this along with your research background no matter what you do. So that's my little 2-cent summary as someone on the other side.
That's very good, Vay. We appreciate your input and your participation. Steve, I'm going to throw you a curveball because I know I can. Steve and I've known each other for a while. Can you address Johnson & Johnson? Because, not everybody in the course is going to wind up in, some kind of entrepreneurial activity. If you don't go to academia, there's always a large company option. And, I know you thought about both options when you were graduating, if I remember right, getting your PhD. Can you just talk a little bit about the journey at Johnson & Johnson and why that was not every job you did, but just what you really learned there, and from that, what advice you might give this team that for people who do wind up in a larger organization?
Okay, yeah, so that's a very open-ended question.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's very, you learn very different things in a big company than you do in a small company. It's very important to be very good at what you do. You want to be an expert at what you do. You want to, get known around the world eventually for what you do. And you can, move up the ranks and then at some point become known and then start to diversify around. And there's a certain path that you can follow. At a startup, if you take the time to learn how to become the world's best at something, you're probably not going to do anything else well enough and you're going to fail. You have to really do good enough for the situation, and it's sort of a different mentality. And, like I'm in Philadelphia, the New Jersey pharma corridor is here, and you think, wow, that must be so innovative. But in fact, people coming out of pharma are so risk averse because they've been raised to be so risk averse. Everything is risks of headlines against you and lawsuits, and everything requires a committee because no one person can make a decision. You don't want to be held liable if that's a bad decision. Bring in 20 people, let's all sit around, let's vote. Anonymous voting. It's different. I don't want to get fired over this. Sure, 18 are in, I'm in. Right, I'm not going to get fired over this. It's a different mentality. And I mean, I'm kind of teasing fun for people who are in this class a little bit, but right, you're going to learn at some point in your career. I've been told this, and I might agree. It's important to learn something deep. You have to become known for something. I think it's helpful. Maybe not everyone, but you need to do something really well. And, if you're a scientist and you can sort of follow that path for a while, and it's good. You can sort of leverage your technical background. But at some point, you need to be able to juggle balls. And you need to be able to just prioritize those that can't fall. This week, I was negotiating with NSF and DARPA, and I must have missed 50 important emails. But it wasn't. It's okay. Whatever the consequences, I accept that. You have to. It's very different. At a big company, I can't do that. Like if I miss the wrong person's email, like I can be fired. So yeah, and then there's a problem that no one pays the founder of a company. Good question, Wes. Right? So as the CEO, it's great when you make it, but you're the one who has to not get paid when you don't have the money. So no one pays you to start a company, and investors don't want you to pay. They want you to be living on your parents' floor, so you don't have money to go out. That's what they want, 24 hours, 7 days a week commitment. So they're fine with that. No one's looking to pay you to eat out, right? You're fine. They're fine with soy shakes and whatever you want. So, right? So yeah, it's tough. I mean, as a student, it's a great time to take big risks. It gets harder, so now's the time to play and come up with some ideas, but you need to connect yourself with people who've done it, so you don't make all the same mistakes and try to avoid, the things. I mean, you're around the right people, but you have to work harder when you're not in this environment to maintain that, and just especially in a virtual world, you have to work even harder to find those people to surround yourself with. But I mean, I'm able to be successful in what I'm doing because I'm able to attract the best people in the world for whom what I'm asking them to do, it's easy, and I don't know everything, but I can sell a good vision and I can get them excited about what I'm doing, and as an entrepreneur, I think that ability is really important, because if you can pull in the right people, what you're probably thinking isn't that hard. There's probably someone in the world that can just give you the answer, and Paul might have half of them. There's someone who has the other half. And then you could, you got it, right? But you need to find those people and make them like, hey, I want to like spend more time with you. You want them to be like, hey, like, let's get on a video chat. Tell me more of what you're doing, but you have to work to get there. So.
Steve, that was great. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I've actually heard other entrepreneurs say that thing about selling a vision, how important that is, so that you do get the right people. Paul, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and, what you, maybe something insightful that you feel you've learned along the way and want to impart to the group?
Yeah, it'd be good. I've had many jobs in my life, and some have been working for me as a physician. But I did a business degree, then I go into the business world, and I didn't know a thing about that. So it really was a learning experience, and you learn trial by error and get out and make some mistakes. But the objective I found, and maybe this is a little snippet of learning, I think networking is an extremely important opportunity. Networking, that's me, I've got to shut this off, sorry.
Okay.
And, what I mean by that is all the people you can meet in the world, they all offer something to you in some fashion. And I go to many meetings, many avenues of meeting people, and I always come home with some reason for having been successful at that adventure. So you really want to put yourself out, as Steve says, take some risk, and really, I think the more people you can meet, the more mentors you can find, the more advocates that you can find to represent yourself and push you forward is really the best way to go. So as we say, you don't need many enemies, you need mostly friends. So I think the objective is find those that can help you and take the next steps, take the risk to make that next step. But that's what I've done for the last many, many years now.
Okay, thank you. Very nice. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for participating. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Paul, I got your name because you were also judging in the new venture competition.
So I did, yeah, I did my MBA, I said in 1998. I've been a judge ever since. I said, I want to do something. I want to do something to contribute. And so I've been a judge for many, many years at that opportunity. It's a great program, great program.
Yeah, if anybody's serious here, I would recommend that. We'll talk more about that if you want, just let me know. Layla, last but not least, so you want to, and you talked a little bit when we saw you before. I mean, so I kind of just give you the floor for a few minutes. The teams should know you a bit from your previous talk, but any focused thing that you feel you learned that you want to pass on?
I think myself being a student a couple of years ago and being kind of in the same shoes, not having a path straight forward. I think if you have an idea with all these different resources that have been offered for UCI and learning about business through these various workshops, it's now the opportunity to take on that risk and pursue the idea. I don't know, down the line, I think lots of responsibilities come on. And I think if you seek various resources for how to get funding, how to get investment, how to develop a pitch deck, I did all of that work while I was at UCI, and there is like immense amount of resources available to do so. So that's where I got my SBIR funding. That's how I developed a pitch deck and all those different resources with just what was offered through workshops and programs like this. And to this day, even this morning when I was doing a pitch presentation, I was still using the same pitch for the most part that I used it in the new venture competition. So I'm still using the same resources that I had, and it has been very valuable for me.
Thank you, and we really appreciate you giving back and participating in this program as well, Layla.
Anytime.
Okay, good. Well, I think let me just chat to Harinder, and if we see if we have a few more minutes, we can figure out how to fill it here.
Yeah, I'm only a few minutes away.
Okay.
If you could fill up for me, thank you.
I was going to say something, but I don't remember what it was. I guess it wasn't that profound. Let's see.
Let me ask you a question, just for my understanding. This program is weeks of program, months of program that class itself?
It's been going for about 8 weeks, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. If I'm wrong, somebody says, what about me? Oh, good. Well, I can talk. But anyway, yeah, we've been going for about 8 weeks.
And how is it structured? Is it once a week?
Yeah, once a week. And it's a certificate program, you know, it's not a program where you get credits, you know, and this course is part of a much larger program that's called GPS, Graduate Professional Success, I think. And there are many elements of the program. So the business concepts course is just a piece of that. Yeah. And I think Harinder would know this, but I think the program was funded by NIH for several years or a few years. And now it's UCI funded. And I think Harinder was saying that even in the environment that we're in right now, it looks like things are going to be okay. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, we had funding for 5 years from NIH. They had a Commons initiative called Broadening Experiences in Scientific Training, and it was great for 5 years. But then the funding ran out, and then we had to sustain ourselves. We went around UCI and asked 4 different schools. They decided to fund the program, but given how things have changed for the budget and all that, but in spite of that, people say that yes, we do have money to support you guys. So I'm happy about that.
What I wanted to say, I remember, which is when I first came back to Southern California after I left Silicon Valley, I was on this dragon rowing team thing and a couple of other things. And was funny, but who participated in that? It was the same age groups as entrepreneurs. It was either people that were really young and didn't have their families yet, or it was people my age where their families were grown. And I think that's what happens in entrepreneurship. You know, Steve, you know, I think it is, or whoever said this, you know, it's good to take risks now. I was just somebody that was being interviewed for a different course on campus for undergraduates, and they asked me what I learned, and I came up with this great thing that I wish I had actually done. So, which was learn to fail, because if you fail, then if you don't, you'll fail to learn. So it gets back to that risk-taking theme. But I will say that for my own career, I went to IBM and then Intel, and then later, and then went out on my own and had my own consulting firm. So where I was doing, you know, a version of one of the teams that we heard today. I wasn't a data scientist, but I'm just saying I was in that business for a long, long time. And now I am more involved in entrepreneurial endeavors. But the thing I felt about IBM and Intel was that you can always leave. And, you know, in the days in which I was working with IBM and Intel, to have that sort of stamped on my forehead, that stamp of approval, was enormously helpful. And I learned a tremendous amount because large companies put a lot of effort into training. The good ones do. So I wouldn't discourage you if you want to go large company first, I guess is what I'm saying. I think you can do it either way.
So Chris, I didn't necessarily realize where you were going with your curveball earlier. So yes, so where Chris is coming from is actually very true. The thing is, where do you want to join a startup? If you want to join a company as the third employee and take the big risk and work 24 hours and just whatever it takes, like that's one path. If you want to join a startup, you know, in a more secure environment after it's raised money, let's say as a director of something, you know, or a manager of something, where, you know, you have a job and you maybe even have employees and there's a budget perhaps, you know, like maybe you have a year of runway or something.
A bio, yeah.
Right. It helps to come from a big company for sure. That's for sure. It depends the path you want to take. Right. Having said, I mentioned, if you're at a big company, you're going to have to go deep into your role, whatever it is. Literally pick any role and you're just going to do that. You're going to be a little cog in this massive machine, but you're going to become a really good little cog. And then you can take that and be a cog at any Fortune 500 company, because they all have cogs that do exactly the same thing with a similar job title. Right. And you can, right.
I have, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to say, my objective is to stay with a small company. I didn't want to be with a big company. It's like going to the military. I didn't want to be saluting all the time at the military. I wanted a small company. That was my philosophy.
Yeah.
There is value to be had at a big company.
Yeah, no, there is.
Yeah, Babe, what were you saying?
I was going to say a lot of these decisions about, you know, big company, small company, what team do you want to do? What role do you want to play? You know, what kind of cog do you want to be? It's all going to come down to your personal preferences too, right? Which I think a lot of us as sort of more research trained or maybe STEM or medicine, just, you know, we're following protocols and we're just kind of like, you know, doing step A, B, C, but you also want to make sure you save some room for you, right? Because, you know, to succeed in whatever role you have, you're going to have problems, you're going to have conflicts with people. You have to have something inside you that cares enough about that to make you successful, right? Whether you're in a small place or a big place, or if you're going to decide to switch, right? Like I went from a startup, which, you know, team of 2 when I started. Now I'm in a company that has 50,000 employees, right? And so you can definitely make the jump. You can go from small to big, big to small. You can transfer internally, all sorts of different options for how you want to grow a career. And I think at the end of the day, it's just important to acknowledge what you're good at, what your strengths are, because that's not something that people can take away. And that's something that is your unique value proposition, right? And that's something that truly is not going to be replaceable by just anyone.
I agree. And I have a couple things to add, and then I'm going to tie back to something Chris said, because there's something called Gallup 34. They rebranded it. It used to be called Strengths Finders 2.0. You guys should offer that for your students if you don't. Like, it's really fantastic. If you don't
we
know
just did that actually with my team. We just did Strengths
It's
Finders.
very good. So it's like you focus on your strengths, minimize the impact of your weaknesses, but by identifying your strengths, you look for those assignments that leverage your strengths. You know, build on your strengths, minimize the impact of real weaknesses, but don't worry about that. Just make sure you don't pick assignments that use your weaknesses. You know, so yeah, strengths are very good. Everyone should really think about what they're really good at, because you're going to enjoy doing things that you're good at, because you're going to be better. Gallup survey. Everyone's heard of like ABC Gallup News report. You know, a Gallup survey. So Gallup-34, they rebranded it. Like, and then it used to be called Strengths Finder. But if you pay online, because I just did it I just ordered it for my team recently, or my intern team. It's like $40 online, and you get all 34, the whole list. Whereas if you buy a book, anyway, just do it online for $40. Okay, so I think that was a good point. But then you also were talking about, you know, some people like this and they like different things. People have personality. You know, it's hard theoretically to talk about what it's like to be in a different environment. I think a lot of these things you just need to do it. And I think a big failing of our educational system is that you wait until you're like a junior in college to get that experience when you've already made your decisions. Like, you should be doing that like in middle school or high school. But anyway, right, you need to somehow get out there. So I would suppose that you should say, maybe I like a big company. Well, I would say just go do it. On all these things, like your business model canvas. Oh, I think that this is how it is. Well, why don't you go test that? Right? Go talk to people. Why don't we run a little pretend thing? Let's pretend we've done it and give people gift cards if they get, you know, if they agree or whatever. Like, just how can you test it semi for live? Well, I ask you the same thing in your career. If you don't know where you'd fit, go do an internship. If you don't want anything in return, you can pretty much do anything in this world that you want. If you're smart and you work hard, just don't ask for anything in return. Say, I'll sign an NDA. You don't have to pay me. I don't want anything. I just want to get the experience. I love your company. I love this thing that you're doing. I want to do this with it because I want that experience. And just do it and try it and see if you like it, and then you'll know. And the business model canvas too.
I think that the wait is over. I believe Chloe has checked that Chloe has acted as the accounting firm, as such as we do at the Academy Awards.
Yeah, we just want to make sure that we don't do that thing which happened at the Oscars.
Yeah,
So they're like, no.
Yeah. Okay.
So
well, you all did great. And that being said, Harinder.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm again just waiting for the news from Chloe.
Okay.
Chloe, are we still up to what we were even with that 1 digit which I messed up? Let me check one more time. But I have one question while Chloe is doing that. Everyone says that, if you want to be a business entrepreneur, and after PhD and all that, they talk about MBA a lot. Maybe you should get an MBA. Maybe you should get an MBA. Is that really required, or like courses like this or some other small certificate programs which give you the same amount of information without having to go through again 2 years of training and spending a lot of money? What would you recommend with that?
Well, I think Steve just said it. MBAs are great. I don't want to say they're not, but the thing about there's aspects of business that I think book learning is very important. But one of the reasons, I think, Layla, you were talking about all the learning that goes into the new venture competition. Those are all workshops by people who've been successful in business. So I guess what I want to say is I think business, and particularly my piece of it, which is marketing, is experiential. So, that's why I wholeheartedly agree with what Steve said. The best way to learn it is to try it. And so that I wouldn't argue against an MBA. I don't know, from a hiring standpoint, I think a PhD is more flexible, is just perfectly fine credentials, but to really.
Depends what you're looking for, yeah. If you want credibility, a PhD is credible. Are you looking to have a credential? Like you have a credential. You could have a JD, an MBA, a PhD. Those are entry points. It's okay. You've done something. Right? It depends what you're at. If you want to be a professor, like you'd better pick the right one. If you want to, right, it depends what your objective is. I think to become an entrepreneur, I don't know that an MBA is going to increase your likelihood of success necessarily.
Yeah, and in a big company, if you decide you want to do that, typically you can stop and do that, or there's programs to help pay for that, and